y'all, it's Gretchen, and welcome back to my channel. It is that time of the month again where I answer your body mod questions. If this is your first time coming across one of my body mod Q&As, basically I answer your questions, whether it's specifically about me and body mods, or if it's just a body mod question in general. You can either leave comments for the next Q&A on this video, or you can follow me over on Instagram and wait for me to pop up the question box, and you can ask them there. But let's go ahead and get started, because there are quite a few for this month. Geeky Queen asks, I'm considering getting either a Labret or a Medusa for my next piercing. The only other facial piercing I have is my septum. Which one would be better to get done first, or does it not matter and I can get either one done? So as you can tell, I have the exact setup that you are referencing. I have a septum, I have a Medusa, and I have my Labret done. Basically, this little setup is called Cyber Bites, which I still think is pretty awesome that it has a name. So what I did is I got my septum done, then I got my Medusa, or philtrum. They're referred to as both. The philtrum is the actual term for it, but it has become known as the Medusa. And then I got my Labret done last, or Labret, however you want to pronounce it, because I get corrected every single time. I went in that order. I did septum, philtrum, Labret. That was the order I did. Really and truly, it doesn't matter. They're not really conflicting with one another, so it doesn't really matter which one you get done first. I would not recommend getting both done, because that's a lot going on with your mouth at the same time. Even though they don't like overlap or connect or anything like that, wouldn't cause problems, that's still a lot of swelling. I noticed more swelling with my philtrum than I did with my Labret, but that's my experience. That's not gonna be everyone's. So I would not suggest getting both done at the same time, but it doesn't really matter which one you do first. Marin asks, can you answer on why you don't like hoops? I know that is your opinion, but I just don't understand. I have an entire video that I put out recently all about why I don't like hoops. You can go check it out over there. And it's not that I don't like hoops in general, it's just not my preferred jewelry piece to go for. However, I do have a hoop in my rook right now and absolutely love it. So mostly my dislike for hoops comes from it being initial, like starter jewelry for a piercing. It is not good for a brand new piercing, and that is my opinion. So go check out that video and it gives a lot more detail. Emily asks, have you ever accidentally hit one of your piercings hard and injured it? I wouldn't say I like injured it, but I have accidentally hit a piercing hard enough for it to swell immensely. Pretty much my Ford Helix, the first one that I got done, was because I bumped it, I hit it. I'm not entirely sure what exactly I did, but I messed it up really bad, so it swelled and it hurt so bad. So yes, I've done it before where something has just like right onto a piercing, and I didn't like injure it per se, but swelling I count as an injury. Alicia asks, I'm new to this realm of body mods and the only piercing I have is my standard earlobes. I really want to get a septum and a vertical Labret. Considering I've never done a piercing like this before, would you recommend doing one at a time, or would it be okay to do in one sit-in? So in that case, kind of going back to the question that was talking about the philtrum and the Labret, this one is roughly the same, but I will say that it's up to your lifestyle and what you can plan for healing wise. So your septum and your vertical Labret aren't really going to interact much. You're probably going to experience swelling with the vertical Labret. You may not experience so much with the septum. However, healing multiple piercings at one time can sometimes be difficult for the body. Whereas if you heal one piercing at a time, the body can put all its focus onto that piercing. Whereas if you get more than one done at a time, the body is trying to focus on two different areas. And yes, it's all in the same area, but it's dividing its attention, if that makes sense. So whereas I personally would not get both done at the same time, that is not to say that you can't handle it. It's really a matter of, can you dedicate time to healing two piercings at the same time? And I will say, the septum is a pretty easy one to heal. Really, it's up to you. But two at the same time is not usually an issue, but because it's more than one, it does divide the body's attention as to where it should focus its efforts. So that's pretty much one thing you got to keep in mind. IDK, I'm bored, asks, I've had a second lobe piercing for 12 weeks now and it keeps getting super irritated and it won't heal. What should I do? 12 weeks is still pretty new. Even though it's a lobe piercing, it's still pretty new. And it just may have some irritants that are happening toward it that you're not quite aware of. You know, make sure you're not sleeping on it. Make sure you're not accidentally touching it. Make sure that you're not using products on it that you shouldn't be, like no hydrogen peroxide, no neosporin, no alcohol, anything like that. Make sure you're not over cleaning it. Make sure you're not under cleaning it. Check the jewelry. Is it too tight on your ear? Were you pierced with a needle? Were you pierced with a piercing gun? There are a lot of variables as to why a piercing may not be healing, may be irritated, may cause infection. You kind of have to go down the checklist. Lisa asks, I've decided to take my third lobes out, pierced it a year and a half ago, and it just won't heal. Any tips on how to retire it? So I have never truly had to retire a piercing before, so I'm not sure the best steps to do so from what I've gathered from those who have retired a piercing before. And anyone who has retired a piercing, please feel free to chime in on what specifics that you did. As long as it's not infected, you should be good to take it out, clean it, and just don't put anything else back in there. And then it should close up on its own. Now, if there's an infection in there, you don't want to take out the jewelry because then it can close up with the infection inside and cause a whole bunch of problems. But from what I've gathered, as long as your piercing is, primarily just irritated, you should be good to just take the piercing out, clean it. You can continue to clean it like you would as if there is a piercing in there until it has healed over. May not take too long for it to close up, but do continue with a cleaning of some kind. Don't use harsh products like alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, Bactine, anything like that. Just continue with a saline solution. Continue with using a gentle cleanser and go from there. But again, if it's infected, don't take the jewelry out. Let the infection clear up because otherwise you risk closing that infection off. Lindsay asks, would you ever consider getting the palm of your hand tattooed? I would, but I feel like that would be like a long ways out. I really want my hands tattooed, but palms I think would come way later just because so much happens with the palms of your hands. They fade way faster. Hand tattoos will too, but you use the actual palms of your hands all the time, not necessarily the top parts of your hands. So I would definitely consider getting them tattooed, but that would be a long way off. Not a right now thing. I'd much rather just get my hands tattooed. Corey asks, my piercer recommended me to put alcohol on my conch's granuloma. Is it okay? I'm pretty concerned that your piercer would recommend that. You should not put anything harsh on a piercing, whether there's a bump or not. You should not put alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, Bactine, neosporin, anything like that on there. So it concerns me that they recommended that. I hope they're professional. I personally would not recommend putting alcohol on a granuloma, but keep in mind, I am a piercing enthusiast. I am not a piercing professional. However, I would, in my enthusiast opinion, go seek a second opinion from another piercer. Maybe not at the same shop, because that makes me go, whoa, not a good idea. Bug Jar System asks, any piercings or tattoos planned? What, for me? Always. Oh, did you want specifics? Guess you'll have to wait and see. Closed Tinted World asks, how is your philtrum doing? Has there been any issues with your teeth or gums? My philtrum is great. Absolutely love this person so much. Haven't noticed any issues with my teeth or my gums, and I've been to the dentist, twice a year, and they haven't said anything about, gum line receding or tooth enamel wearing away. I think because the jewelry I have in is so snug against my lip that it doesn't even come in contact with my gums or my teeth. And that's the beauty of this piercing, is my piercer took so much time to make sure that she pierced it in a spot that would not only look good, but also wouldn't come in contact with my teeth and my gums. I actually noticed my jewelry on my Labret coming in contact with my teeth and my gums more. I really should probably downsize the bar a little bit more, but it was pretty loose. But for my philtrum, no problems. JJ Rubix asks, double helix at 1 session or 2? So I got my double helix done over here in 1 session. Now mine had an issue with swelling a few weeks after I got it done, and it was horrific. I still to this day don't know what caused it, but I thought my ear was gonna fall off. It was so bad. That being said, I would recommend getting them both done at the same time. It was no problem to get them done at the same time if that's what you're going for. The healing for them was rough. It was bad, but again, that's like my personal experience. I'm not saying that that would happen to you, but yikes. That was one of the worst piercing experiences I've ever had, was just the healing of it. But the actual act of getting it done, not a problem at all. But it's also based on your personal preference and what you can handle. Still Lils asks, there's a common misconception about tattoo artists. Would you trust a tattoo artist without tattoos? I can only think of one tattoo artist off the top of my head, and I can't even remember their name now, but they were on a season of Ink Master back when I watched Ink Master, and they had 0 tattoos, but they were amazing with the artwork they put out. I wish I could remember that artist's name. All I know is his artwork was really good. So I haven't like personally come across it before, but I do specifically remember that artist and just saw how well his art was. So I wouldn't like say no to a tattoo artist. Like if their artwork is good and they do good quality pieces, that's what matters. You know, maybe they just have a preference not to get tattooed themselves, but they enjoy the act of tattooing. They enjoy the art of tattooing. You know, just because they don't have any themselves doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't trust them. I really wish I could remember that artist's name now. That's gonna bug me. CK is a how do you feel about piercers trademarking certain piercings, i.e. the Maria Tash with the Tash Rook? So when I saw this question, I had to look it up. And I'm very confused as to what the Tash Rook is because a lot of pictures that I saw, it's a flat. But then I saw other pictures that wasn't. I was very confused on it. Piercers trademarking certain piercings. This is the first example I've come across of that. I don't know if there are other ones out there, but to trademark a piercing and say that you're the first one to do it, I highly doubt they're the first one to do it. Maybe they are, I don't know. Maybe they're just the first one to market it. So I mean, if they want to go ahead and trademark it, go ahead and trademark it. But just the pictures that I saw online, and maybe I was just not looking in the right spot because I had never heard this before, but it just looked like a flat piercing. Speedy's Drawns asks, could you wear earbuds after getting your tragus pierced? Not right away. I had to wait for it to heal. So several months before I could wear them. I did the over-the-ear headphones instead, which were fine. It's not good to wear earbuds right away because it can irritate it and prolong the healing process. Sarah I'm Hoff asks what to expect for your first tattoo and aftercare. I have an entire video about it. Ambo Pink Fairy asks, what exactly is a piercing bump? Is it hard or soft? How can you identify it? So there are many different kinds of piercing bumps. Some are hard, some are soft, some are big, some are small, some are red, some are not colored at all. That's where everyone gets confusion, is kind of determining which piercing bump you have. If you have a bump on a piercing, it is a piercing bump. But then it comes down to what kind of piercing bump is it. So to answer your question, a piercing bump is all of those things. You just have to identify which one it is. Lynn asks, is it possible to get a daith, duff, and a rook on one ear? I already have a daith and really want a rook. I don't see why not. I've seen that combination before. I think it depends on your anatomy. I personally don't think I could get them done. Like I have my daith done on this ear. I don't think there would be enough room for a rook over here, but depending on your ear's anatomy, I think it could work out. Just keep in mind that the jewelry may bump each other and it can cause irritation, which is not good. Rebecca asks, have you ever been harassed because of your piercings? It happens to me a lot. Oh. The stories I could tell y'all. I can't remember if I ever told y'all the story about someone who emailed me and wanted me to do a video where I took my piercings out and then played with the holes. Not even lying right now, that was an actual email. It was pretty weird. And then when I didn't respond, he like called me all sorts of names. It was great fun. So yes, I've been harassed. I get DMs on Instagram all the time asking for similar things. And then I also get the common things like, why would you do that to yourself? Or like, you look like a bull, in regards to my septum piercing. And so like I get those comments too, but then I get the really weird ones. Can you not come on the internet? Please? So yeah, long story short, yes. San M's asks, I'm thinking of changing my rook into a ring or circular barbell. How long should I wait? Had it since May. Is it healed? Do you know that it's healed? Is it irritated at all? If it is completely healed, go ahead and change it. I have a hoop in mine right now. Absolutely love it. I know I talk about disliking hoops, but I really like it in my rook. If it is healed, go for it. If it is not healed, don't go for it, because then that'll prolong the healing process. Crushy asks, would you get another conch piercing on your opposite ear? Definitely if I could get it to work. I think it could work. I totally would, because I love my conch. It's my favorite cartilage piercing. Isabella asks, what do you think your next piercing will be? Probably my third Ford Helix. I think that's gonna be my next one. Lily Mack asks, I have a Helix piercing. If I get a second slightly lower, will it make the first one angry? It depends on how old the first one is. If you just recently got it done, it probably will. If it's one you've had for a while and it's healed completely, most likely not. It could irritate it, but if it's healed, it's usually not an issue. But again, everyone reacts differently, so even if a piercing is completely healed, it can flare up. This is the Smiths asks, how do you feel about getting breast implants? Would you ever do it? Interesting. This is a different kind of body mod question than what I've gotten before. For those that don't know, I had weight loss surgery. I've lost over 130 pounds. And at my lowest weight, this might be a little weird for people to hear, but I absolutely hated how my breasts look because they like deflated. They and my butt were the first things to go. And I'm like, really guys, really? So I thought about it briefly, but then I gained a little bit of weight back, which I'm very happy about. And it's kind of a weird mind to think that you've lost all this weight and then to gain a little bit back, it like messes with you a little bit. But I did find that I looked better and felt better in clothes at that point. So at this point, I would not get them done. However, if I lost more weight again and they looked a little meh, like deflated balloons, probably. Anyone that wants to get them done, go for it. Allie asks, what was healing like for your Ford Helix? Thoughts on double or triple? So I currently have a double Ford Helix and I plan to get a third one, so I will have a triple Ford Helix. My first one that I got done was absolute hell to heal for the first few weeks. It swelled so bad and like the jewelry I thought was gonna pop off, it was the worst. My second one, not a problem at all, healed way faster. Third one, I hope will be a breeze like the second one. Basically, your Ford Helix is just a matter of making sure that you're mindful of everything that comes in contact with it, like face masks. They can get snagged on it pretty easily. I like the look of double ones, obviously. Love the look of triple ones, obviously, as I'm planning to get a third one. I say if you want it, go for it. I am just getting them done one at a time though, spacing it out instead of going all three at once. And the last question is from Laura, who asks, when can I stop cleaning a piercing? Twice a day. When it's healed. And at that point, you should still be doing maintenance on it. So like whether or not you clean it every day, every other day, once a week, only when it's healed completely should you stop cleaning it twice a day. And that is it for this month's Body Mod Q&A. Thank you to everyone who submitted a question. If I didn't read your question, it's just because there were other questions that were very similar to it, or I've answered it over and over again, and you can go back and watch some of my other Q&As. If you would like to ask a question for November's Q&A, where did this year go? You can either leave them in the comments below, or you can follow me on Instagram and ask them over there. Special thank you to my patrons. You can help support the channel on Patreon while having access to videos early, viewing patron-only content, and more. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big ol' thumbs up. Go down there and hit that subscribe button, wherever it may be, because I don't know. Even though I do, this is just my shtick now. Also hit that notification bell in case you want to know when I upload, and in case YouTube wants to let you know when I upload, because I would really appreciate it. And until next time, bye all!